Hi darlings, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. And today I have a setup video for you. I am going to be working through Contending for the Faith in a different way. All of this vintage goodness, this is kind of a steampunk vibe. It made me think that I want to create a sort of junk journal. So I am not an expert at by any means of junk journaling or building junk journals, but I thought it'd be fun to create some type of ring book or that I can call a junk journal to kind of put this together. So I am going to be working through this and I am going to bring you along. I am not 100% sure where I'm going with it or how it's going to turn out, but I'm going to bring you along. I'm going to be using tons of the things from the kit and also all of the add-ons that I received from Lori. So let me put you on fast forward and let's dig in. Okay, darling, so I'm going to be using the coordinating paper pack for this month's kit to create the base of my ring junk journal book that I will be creating. I had two pieces or two elements from the kit sticker and this verse card, and I was trying to find out which pattern paper and which piece I wanted to use for the book title page or cover. I ended up going with this craft background paper one with the gears and the floral. This is my favorite paper from this paper pack. This pattern is absolutely beautiful to me. I love the feel that it gives. Is super crafty, but also has its vintage steampunk vibes. I knew I wanted to use this other pattern paper, which was the it's kind of like an alphabet with the swirly letters. It coordinates with the stamp set this month, the alpha stamp set. And I knew I wanted to use that. So instead of cutting the paper in half, I actually did it sideways because I wanted to make sure that those letters were actually vertically inside the inside of my book, so to speak. I am kind of picking out another paper to mat my front cover. And I end up going with this beautiful black lace on ivory. That was my second favorite pattern from this paper pack. So many of these are some beautiful patterns, super vintage, and I could not wait to just use them all up. So that's what I'm doing here. So what I did was I grabbed one of the 6x8 pattern papers and I cut that in half. And this gave me two pieces of 3x4 papers, obviously. And then that is going to be my front and back cover. But I did want to mat this paper in order to just make it a little bit thicker. It will help me with the wear and tear of flipping through the book. And also, I think it just created just a bit more framing and depth to the paper. So I really loved using this darker lace with it. Now I'm going to use the alphabet one that I actually cut to use that on the inside of both the front and back cover. And you'll see that I adhered this down too soon because I forgot to put the ribbon, but I will fix that a little bit later. But here are my front and back covers. So I added a paper clip to the back cover. This is going to just keep me straight so I know that the paper with the paper clip is the one with the back cover. So again, I'm over here fussing to see which element I was going to use that had the name of the kit, and I end up going with the verse card. I use a circle punch to kind of punch it out. I wanted to give it that curve because I thought it would be fun to have it fit right there in between that gear, and so I'm gonna have that pop off there. So after I know that I'm for sure going to use that element, I end up putting the sticker back, and then I'm going to find the other elements that I purchased, which were the Tim Holtz vintage paper dolls. I had pre-selected some of the ones I knew I wanted to use in this kit. So I'm just going to grab a couple that I think will work for my title page here, and then I'll put those to the side. I'm also going to look in the goodie bag. I wanted to see if there are any elements that I could use to add to the front of this. Again, I'm just busting through all these different elements, the add-ons, things out of the kit. I pull out the fabric, another verse card, and the tile alphas. So now I take off the inside cover of my covers. That way I can add ribbon to the inside. So I'm going to use the coordinating fabric pack, I got the bonus pack, and it has this beautiful ivory lace on black. And I'm going to use that as the ribbon to close my ring book. So I had to take off the inside part. I'm going to use some of this tack glue, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to both sides. I actually lay it down upside down. So after fidgeting with my Fabri-Tac glue, I just end up bringing out my glue stick, the Coquina. I think that's the way it's called. And this works perfectly. Sorry, you're going to see my head a couple of times here. And I end up using that glue. This is the same glue that ByTheWell4God they recommend for you to use with the Bible when we wrap our mini Bibles. So this works perfectly. Okay, so now I'm going to shift through my labels. I wanted to add a label to the bottom to add the month and the year that this project is for. And I also grabbed some of the lace that was part of the texture elements that came with the main kit. And I'm going to use this lace just to add some texture behind the title, which is going to be that Contending the Faith card that I punched out in a curve. So I kind of just placed that together, making a little fan. I'm going to add some Fabri-Tac glue. And then I'm going to grab some washi, and that washi is just going to hold it in place until that glue dries up. And this just makes it a little bit easier, so I don't have to hold it down, and it can dry as I'm waiting. I'm going to snip some of that lace up at the top so it's not too overwhelming. Then grabbing some leftover foam adhesive, I go ahead and add that to the top. I'm also going to grab one of the little paper doll couples, and I'm going to add a label at the bottom. I snipped that in half because the whole label would have been a little bit overwhelming since it is a big piece. And now I'm going to pop up the paper dolls as well. This is just adding texture, dimension, using up everything I have in my stash. I love adding this little couple to the front. And now using the Tile Alpha that came with the bonus bag, or that little goodie bag that you can get, I'm going to add the words May and then 22, signifying the month and the year that I made this project. And that concludes the front for now. I possibly will add more as the project goes on, but I just wanted to have that done. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the back cover. I'm just making sure that I'm gluing this down right. And I'm going to add that glue at the bottom, and then I'm going to add my ribbon and then add that inside cover as I did with the other page. I'm going to link this glue below, this glue stick, because it works amazing for wrapping Bibles, and it works really great for projects like this, like a junk journal or ring book. So it's definitely a fave in my stash. Okay, so I knew I wanted to put holes to add my rings, but I wanted to make sure that it was going to be sturdy enough and the holes wouldn't get as much wear and tear. So what I'm going to do is first round off the corners of the front and back corner with my corner rounder, my crocodile. This is a We Are Memories keeper. But then I'm also going to get my eyelet punch, and this is also called a crocodile. This is also by We Are Memory Keepers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the eyelets that are the brass color. These are going to match the rings that I'm going to add to these. And so I'm going to put 2 holes in the front and back cover using the front as the template for the second. And then I'm going to add my eyelet and just punch right through, and this is just going to make that hole super sturdy, so the wear and tear of flipping back and forth with the rings won't do so much damage to that front and back cover. It also finishes off the book really well. It just looks better. So now I'm going to grab these rings. I'm going to grab the ones that are in the card set for this month, the coordinating card set. And those brass rings and the eyelets match perfectly. So there's a look at that. Now I'm going to put all my scraps together because I can still use those throughout the project as I'm working through the month. Now I'm going to grab a couple of pages. I wanted to grab a couple of neutrals and a couple of nice patterns because I wanted to create a couple templates that I already have in my ring book so I can make pages a little faster. So you see me here, I grabbed this green neutral. I'm going to just slice that in half because again, my ring book is just a 3x4. The front and back page are a little bit bigger because I matted them, but the inside pages are just going to be 3x4 size. So I grabbed some of those and I cut in half the half of those. That way I can have a half page so I can create little pockets. And this is just an easy peasy way to make a pocket. Add some adhesive to 3 parts of those and then leave one side open so I can have a little pocket. And this is just an easy template again, so I can have some templates to make pages easier as I'm working through the month. This one I didn't cut in half. It may look like a waste of paper, but I wanted these pipes and the light bulbs to face up. So I actually cut it in a different way. And although it wastes a little bit of paper, I was okay with that because I really wanted that pattern to show off really well. Here I'm cutting one of the papers diagonally, and this is just to make a diagonal pocket instead of just the regular vertical / horizontal pockets that you saw me do just a minute ago. So I'm just slicing those in half and having a little tuck in spot to add something throughout the month. I'm just going to cut off the excess here, and with the other half of that diagonal, I'm going to add that to the other page. Just add some adhesive on 2 sides for the diagonal ones, and I'm going to add that there, and then I'll cut off the excess and have another one with a pocket there. Again, all of my pages won't be like this. I just wanted a couple of templates. It's just going to make it easier for me throughout the month. Now I'm going to mark with my pen where I want my holes. I'll punch those out with my crocodile. I always call it a crocodile. And then I'll just use that as a template to punch out the holes for my other pages. Easy peasy. So now that I have a couple of templates, I'm going to add that to the inside of my ring book. And I have the base of my project done. That is it, darlings. So this is going to be the base for my little junk journal that I'm going to use, or ring book. I don't even know what to call it. Ring book, junk journal, what have you. This is going to be the base for me to work through contending for the faith. And so I basically, as you saw, I am using the rings. I'm going to be adding more of the other elements into here. But what I wanted to do was create a couple of pockets that are just going to be ready to go. So when I do start journaling or what have you, I already have a couple of pockets in here. And I can also use these as templates to create other pages. Of course, they're not all gonna look like that, but I just wanted a couple in here that I can use as templates, like I said, to create other pages that I'll be adding into this mini ring book. So this is what I'm going to be working through this month. And this below, I'd love for you to comment and let me know how you plan on working through contending for the faith. I'd love to chat with you about the different ways that you guys are working through the kits. If you're new here, I hope you consider subscribing. Hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Thank you so much for joining me each and every video, darlings. God bless. Bye.